Hey guys, welcome back to Idaho Fabricator. Today I just wanted to do an update on what I'm doing on my 53 truck, kind of show you where I'm at and what I've been thinking about. And so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Panhard bars, what they are, and why I'm going to switch to it. So when I bought this suspension system for this truck, it came with this bar here, which is called a diagonal link. And it hooks to the frame here through this bracket, and then it goes at a diagonal all the way over to the axle housing. The purpose of this diagonal link is to keep the axle centered in the wheel wells, centered in the frame, okay? And it works for that. It keeps it centered. But what I found out in doing some research is that this is really for drag racing only. It's not really designed for street use. It's not really, puts a lot of strain on these joints and hard cornering. And I'm not making a straight ahead drag racer. I'm making driving down a road, do smoky burnouts, do fast cornering, stuff like that. Have fun. So I decided to go with a Panhard bar. And I'm leaving this in place right now so that I can fit the Panhard bar and make sure that it's centered in the frame, okay? So if you come around to this side so they can see here what's going on. So I've already got one bracket mounted to the axle housing for the differential. And what the Panhard bar is it's an adjustable bar that goes from the differential housing over to some tabs on the frame. Okay, and I'll show you over at the bench. And so it's adjustable so that you can center the axle housing in the frame rails. And it's much better suited for street driving, for cornering, things like that. And for what I'm doing, I think this is kind of a weak link. So I'm going to show you over at the bench what I'm talking about. And it's pretty cool. And let's go over to the bench. Okay, so I made some, well, first of all, let me just tell you that I went with this company here. It's called Paul Horton's Welder Series. He's in Canada and has a nice catalog with all kinds of the fabricated stuff that works. You got 4-link rear suspension, triangular links, all kinds of stuff, sway bar kits, brackets, axle housing brackets. Really a good source of parts that can get you going on your project. But what's really kind of cool is on the back of his catalog, he has one-to-one pictures of all of his brackets, everything that he makes. And so what I did was, this is the Panhard bar bracket. So I just photocopied this and then cut it out and put it on a piece of cardboard. It's actually one of my oatmeal boxes. And I used this to figure out if I was going to like how the thing's set up. And I kind of held it up there and played around with some piece of wood doweling and just to see if I liked the way it was going to fit. And I really did. And on this design, it uses 2 mounting points. I showed you the one on the axle right now, and this other one comes with a kit too. And look at how nice, beautiful laser cuts. The holes are perfect. I mean, it's just a nicely fabricated piece. Okay, this mounts to the pinion carrier plate on the differential. And so I have 2 points of contact for the Panhard bar. So here's the Panhard bar. This is what you get in the kit. It's 7/8 of an inch DOM tubing. This end is threaded, has a threaded insert, okay, and then a lock jam nut. And then the other end is nicely TIG welded onto the shaft. And these are just, there's a steel bushing in here, and these are polyurethane outside bushings, so they kind of cushion from road shock and stuff. So this end mounts to the differential. This end mounts to the frame. He gives you these tabs in the kit, and you'll notice that one of the tabs is longer than the other one. And the reason that it is that way is because most of the frames taper, right? And if you just stuck them on the same way, it would put this in a bind. It would be at an angle because the frame is tilting, so it wouldn't be flush with that. I hope I'm explaining that right. So you get angled, you get one shorter than the other. So the long one goes at the let's see. Yeah, the long one goes this way, and the short one goes at the back. And so what that does is, so because the frame tilts, like if this was the frame, it allows this to be plumb with the differential. So that's pretty cool that he's already taken into account. And of course you can file these or grind these, to custom fit for, your frame, how much angle you have and stuff. So that's pretty cool that he does. So in the kit, you get these two tabs. You get the Panhard bar with the bushings, everything you need. You get the bolt for this end. You get these different sleeves because different applications call for different sleeves. You get two washers, two nylock nuts, and then the bolt for the tab end. So it's a pretty complete set. It comes with everything you need. And what's really cool is I called him up and I told him what I was working on. I gave him the measurements that I had, how wide my frame was, okay? And then another measurement that they want is from the center of the top of the pinion bolt to the frame. So I gave him all those measurements, and he has a calculator. He's been making these for a long time, and so he was able to come up with the exact length that I needed for my Panhard bar. So that's pretty cool that you can get it essentially custom done. I think shipped to me was $112. So it's a good value. As you can see from these parts, the quality is top notch. So let's go underneath the frame and, before I get started, let me show you something. Okay, so I set up a little test here to explain something. So let's pretend like, so I drew a line on the bench and I center punched it so that I would be in the center of these two holes. Okay, and then let's see, so I got this little alignment punch. So I'll go in here and I'll find that little mark. Okay. And that one. So that's centered, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop a little spacer in there. And then I'm going to clamp that to the table. So this would be like it would be in your vehicle. So this is going to become the hinge point of the, darn it. There we go. Okay, so now it can hinge. Okay, so think of this as being attached to the frame and this being on your axle housing. Okay, let's find the center. Right there. So as you move your suspension up and down, because this is a fixed length, your axle housing is going to move from side to side. Okay, it's going to. So when you install this Panhard bar, you want to make sure that it is at the same level as the axle housing itself. They're on the same plane at ride height. So kind of at a neutral position. So as the axle moves, you know, when you hit a bump and the axle comes up, and then when the axle comes back down, at ride height, it's always in the neutral position, okay? So as you move your suspension, and let's say I have about 3 inches of travel on my suspension. So 3 inches of travel there, 3 inches of travel there. And what I'm going to show you is how much it moves. So let's say I hit a bump and it moves up 3 inches. That would be a pretty good sized bump. So take my ruler, put it on here, and it moves about, gosh, it's so small, 1/8 of an inch, okay? So that means that at full suspension, both ways, it's going to take the tires and it's going to move them 1/8 of an inch, one side or the other, depending on, let's see, if you hit a bump, it's going to pull the tire. It's going to move it on the driver's side 1/8 of an inch out, and on the passenger side 1/8 of an inch in, if that makes sense. But I wanted to show you this because this is the reason why you want this Panhard bar to be at the same plane as the axle housing. So if this was the axle housing, you'd want it at the same plane, level with the axle. So neutral. So that way the movement is identical, compressed or extended, depending on what your suspension's doing. If you mounted it in that vehicle and it was like this, okay, then when you hit a bump and moved your 3 inches, you would get, it would be uneven. It's hard to explain. You know, I'm not an engineer, guys. I'm just I just wanted to know this for my own, like, how much is it going to move? And I looked on the internet and I couldn't really find anything, so I just came up with this little example for me, and I thought I'd share it with you. So the bottom line is, according to people that are really smart, keep this level with the axle housing, and as you can see from my little non-scientific method, it's about 1/8 of an inch of movement, so that's not much, you know, not much at all. And so hey, let's go into the truck. Let me show you how this fits on there. So it's pretty cool. Okay, come on there, get that off. I'm gonna put these on so you guys can see how that works. That to there. These are good. This part gets welded to the frame, obviously. And okay, so I need this. All the sorted hardware, spacers, and the Panhard bar. So let's go underneath. I'll show you how it's supposed to work. So the first thing you gotta do, I've already got this one mounted on there, and these axle housings, they use nylock nuts to hold them on, and there's not a whole lot of thread left. So what I did was, this is 3/16 plate steel, and so if I reused the nylock nuts, there wouldn't be any nylon to lock it onto the stud. So I use steel lock nuts. They're a lot thinner, and it holds it on, it locks it onto the thread. So just a little tip for you guys. So now we gotta loosen these guys. Boy, it's tight. I don't know why they put that on so tight. That is, I'm sure they got thread locker on there. We will soon find out if there's thread locker on there. Yep. Blue Loctite. Well, it wasn't red. That's good. Yep. Blue Loctite. So I'm going to put this on. I think I'll probably Blue Loctite it again. That's probably not a bad idea, I guess. But what I want to do is show you guys how this works. And let me get a ratchet. Boy, they really put the blue Loctite on that thing. Okay, I don't need to put the other one in to show you how this works. Okay, so we get the Panhard bar up in here. And I know according to the, let's see, which one? So I think it's the longer one. Maybe two of those. Okay, so I guess I'll set this here while you get one in there, and then your flat washer, and then this goes in there like that, and then another flat washer. Did I bring? Huh, I left it over at the table. So one flat washer goes on each side of the polyurethane bushing. And then they said that I might have to use this shorter one. I think I am going to have to use the shorter one. So take the shorter one. In, shorter bushing, that. That. It is a tight fit. Okay, well, I'd have to fuss with it a little bit, but so you got this other spacer here, and the purpose of these spacers is so that you get adequate clearance for the, so you don't hit the pumpkin, the third member, okay? This is where I was telling you that you might have to do some grinding to get it just perfect. Like this one's gonna have to be shortened up a little bit, but you get the idea. You want this Panhard bar to be level with the axle housing, okay? Now see, right now, I'm not at ride height. This is gonna come down almost 2 inches. So I'm gonna load the back of the truck up. I'm gonna take some of my sand for my sandblaster and put about 250 pounds, 300 pounds in the back of the truck, because a full tank of gas is about 125 pounds. And then the bedwood and the fenders and all the other stuff, I'm thinking another 150, so maybe around 300 pounds. And what'll happen is this frame rail here will move down so that this will end up being probably somewhere like that at when it's set up right. And you see the angle it's at right now? Well, that's the angle that it would be if the suspension dropped in a hole, because the differential would move down. But then when we go to ride height, the Panhard bar would be level with the axle housing. Hope that makes sense. So that's what I've been working on, guys. On one of the things I've been working on is that, and I hope I was able to explain that. I hope that kind of made sense. Let me know in the comments if I didn't get something clear, and I can try and explain it better. So let me show you the other thing that I've been working on the truck. It's up front, and let's walk up there. Okay, the other thing is my steering. So I've been thinking about this for a while, and so I made this little, as you can probably tell, I'm big on jigs. This is just a piece of fuel line inside a piece of white PVC pipe. And so what I'm doing is, down under here is the rack and pinion. So if you can, I don't know if you can get under and show them, maybe from this side. Okay, so there'll be a U-joint here, so this can, move a little bit. And then there's going to be another U-joint right here. And so that rubber kind of holds it together for me so I can play around with it and measure it. And I'm thinking it's probably going to turn out something like that. I'm going to have a U-joint up here, a U-joint here, and then one right at the rack and pinion. And then because I'm going to have 3 U-joints, I'm going to have to support the middle here with and let me show you what that looks like. It's over at the bench. This is what it looks like, guys. So this comes 6-inch length, so you just cut it to fit. And this is a 3/4 inch hole, which is the size of the steering columns, the steering shafts that you get. And so I will just cut this to fit and weld it to the frame. And this allows you multiple angles of adjustment. And so the steering shaft will go through here. There'll be a U-joint right in here somewhere. And that'll support that, keep it from moving side to side. So, so that's what I'm working on. So I'm kind of getting all the parts I need and figuring out, I got to order the U-joints, I got to order the steering column, and let's see what else, and the steering shafts. And that steering column, that stuff's pretty expensive. Those U-joints are $50 a piece. And then the steering column is like $350, something like that. So I'm saving my pennies. That's coming up. I'm going to work on that. And I'm going to work on the Panhard bar, get that dialed in for you. I just wanted to show you kind of where I'm at. I'm like constantly working on this thing in between other projects that come up here on the property. So thanks for watching, guys. Be safe in your shops. Always be careful out there. And if you like this video, give me a subscribe, give me a like. I really appreciate. My channel's growing, and it's just really cool to see it happen. Until next time, take care. I'll see you.